Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, hi, I'm Debbie and I make art videos. In today's video, I wanted to try painting a portrait with soft pastels. So soft pastels are the dry kind, and I used to actually play with them quite a bit, but it's been literal years since I've pulled them out. So it's about time they got some love, and I thought I would try my hand at painting a portrait. So let's give this a shot. This is my set of pastels that I own, and although you need a lot of colors, the pastels themselves last a really long time, so you get a lot of use. These are pastel pencils, and they're very handy for doing little details. Here are some smudging options that you could use, and to seal it off, you can use fixative. There are different kinds of pastel papers and art papers that you can use. I also enjoy using this kind of newsprint paper that you can buy in pads, and I just cut them down into this kind of A4 shape. So I chose one of those newsprint papers to start off with, and in hindsight, that was not the best decision because I have used this in the past, and I think it works well if you're going to be doing some kind of drawing on there, but I had planned to do a painting, and I don't think it was the best choice for a painting. It can be a very smudgy, messy process, so watch where your hand is because it'll smudge quite easily. I chose this particular photograph to make a painting of because of the dramatic lighting that it had. I thought it was very pretty, the way the light was shining on the girl's face and hair, and it made her hair even more golden. So my aim with this portrait was to study the light and shadow because that's something that I struggle with, and also to try to maintain that golden light quality that I saw in the photograph. I've been reading Hawthorne on painting recently. I started it after I finished this portrait, and in there he mentions that the first dab of color that you put on is going to inform the entire painting. And so I think it was a good choice to start with that goldeny yellow because that's kind of the vibe that I was aiming for. As I was going, I realized that my set of colors is kind of missing a few things that I would have liked, so it took me a little bit of time to select the colors that I was going to use, and once I had selected those colors, I tried not to veer away from that, not to introduce any more new colors, because I was trying to go for something a little bit more realistic and a little bit more harmonious. And my tendency is naturally to just add in some wild color because I like that, but I was coming in with the intention of trying to do a more naturalistic painting. So this is a study, and I think setting an intention for your study is a great thing. It's because you know what you can relax a little bit on and what you should put your energy into, you know? You don't have to do everything in every piece. You probably noticed me use that little paper smudger for a little bit. I didn't really like the way it worked. It seemed to like scratch the pastel off the surface, so I ended up just sticking with my finger when I wanted to smudge and then just trying to like layer the color with the pastel itself. The painting looks very unfinished for a very long time, and I'm moving slowly, trying to be very precise because there's all these little like highlights in the hair, and I wanted to focus on the hair as well. Hair is something I struggle with, so I wanted to try to get the hair to read as hair and also work on the light and dark shadows. I didn't make the shadows on the face as dark as the photograph because I wanted to try to show more of the facial feature under there, but I did try to get a good contrast because my tendency is to go lighter than I should, and I'm trying to force myself to get darker because you do need that contrast sometimes, and especially in this photograph, the contrast is what makes the picture work. I wasn't intending on putting in the background, but as I got going, I realized that in order for the figure to read, it needs the contrast of the background. So I either could have started on, say, a gray or blue toned background, or the other alternative is to fill in the color. So that's what I ended up doing. point, I started to notice the limitations of my paper and that I had chosen the wrong surface to work on. If I had just decided to do some sort of light drawing, it would have been fine, but because I was doing this heavy layered thing, it started lifting and sort of crumbling and getting messy, and I think some of that dust ended up getting on the surface, and as you can see, my paper starting to fall apart. So I had to be conscious about that going forward, and I almost stopped, but I thought, no, let's see how far I can push this and how far I can see this through for the sake of the video and also just for the sake of the intention of my study. Although I really liked the way it looked at this point, it was kind of like this haunty, sort of half-finished thing, and in sense of style, I like that, but because this is a study, I wanted to fulfill my study requirements for my own self. When it comes to studies, I think you can stop whenever you're satisfied with the amount of study that you've done. I mean, I suppose that goes for finished pieces as well. If you find your happy spot where you should stop or where your style dictates that you should stop, then do it. But make sure you fulfill the intention of your study. Hawthorne also mentioned that if you're just starting out, if you're just learning, if you're in the learning phase with a medium or with art in general, then having many starts is better than having many finished pieces, in his opinion anyways. So that's something to consider. He thinks that if you can just look at very many different objects and study very many different things, then you're getting a lot out of it, because at the beginning you don't know how to finish, so don't have to try to finish. You can just start something new, and as you learn, you'll learn how to finish, if that makes sense. Anyways, I'll put a link to the book in my description below because it's quite interesting. I do want to mention that pastels create this dust, and that dust isn't great for your lungs. So make sure you clean your workspace afterwards. I vacuumed my workspace and I washed my table and I removed the clothes that I was wearing even, because that dust can just get into things, and if you don't deal with it right away, it's just gonna permeate your surroundings. Putting in the dark background really helped pop the character forward, and I think that was necessary. I didn't get her likeness down, but that wasn't the point of my practice. It was to get the light and shadow shapes in, and I think I mostly got it in, so I'm happy with that. Unfortunately, I couldn't go forward because I was tired. First of all, this took me a little bit, and also my paper couldn't tolerate anymore. I think I pushed it to its limits. I wonder if I had a better quality paper, if the end result would be less muddy, but I'll have to try another one and see. I seem to have picked out another reference image that is primarily orange and blue, so this complementary color scheme. I seem to be in just an orange phase, and orange and blue just look really well together, and that seems to be what I've been attracted to lately. But that's not a bad thing. I'll get to know my oranges and blues a little bit better. Thank you for watching the video, and I hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any soft pastel tips, leave them in the comment section below. If you want to watch something else from me, there'll be something popping up here shortly, and I'll see you all at the next one. Bye now.